Welcome back to the show, everybody. This is the upper tier. Joining me tonight for not a Monday mashup, but we're nearly back at the Monday mashup stage. The Dazzler himself, Darren. How are we?
I'm all right, pal. The old heart rate's just managed to settle down after yesterday's festival of fun. Wow.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. It was just the most incredible game of football. A very, very fitting end to an amazing World Cup. It was so good. It really was. I enjoyed every minute of it.
You know when they say written in the stars, it really was written in the stars, wasn't it, really?
It was. And even the to-ing and fro-ing between, Argentina and Mbappe, the way, the torch was kind of passed during the game like that. And you could see this kid, and he was taking on the mantle of trying to drag his country to a World Cup the way, the way they were able to do it 4 years ago. Obviously, this time they just weren't able to get over the line. But, I mean, the first thing I said after the game was, they won't be beaten in the Euros. You can bank on that.
Yeah,
they'll
absolutely.
walk away with those Euros. Walk away with them.
Absolutely.
Bringing on, the kid Kolo Muani and Marcus Thuram, and I thought Coleman. I thought
was
Camavinga
a revelation when he came on, wasn't he?
I thought Camavinga was excellent as well, and he was playing left back. Tchouameni. Like, there was just so many good footballers there. And we know obviously they had their injury problems going into the tournament. Now, they're not using that as an excuse. Excuse me. But I think, I think come the Euros, I think they're the team to be for me, I've got to say.
Yeah, it was an interesting one, and remind me during the show. I want to talk to you. I was listening to Talk Sport this morning on the way into work, and you'll laugh at this when you hear this. It's amazing that these guys, with such resources available to them, that they don't do their homework. It just boggles my mind. But anyway, we've got a great show for everyone tonight. We're going to go through a Carabao Cup preview. Big opportunity for a team here to get through this round here. They could be looking at staring down the barrel of a trophy. We're also going to be talking about the World Cup. We're going to give our reaction to it and our thoughts both on the final and the tournament. A tournament that went from being vilified to being the greatest World Cup ever, dare I say. Let's see how
you can go. You can go from villain to hero and vice versa very quickly in this world, can't you?
Isn't it mad? Isn't
I
it mad?
I saw somebody in another group yesterday wrote, I'm glad we all boycotted this tournament. I just thought, what, that's a belter.
Jeez, I don't know if you even seen the scenes last night in Dublin City. There was about 800 to 1,000 Argentinian fans.
Yeah.
Some of them now, I'd say, looked a little bit Irish, but that's okay. They were Argentinian fans, and they paraded around the city centre, starting at the Spire. And fair play to them; they deserve every bit of it.
I had a very emotional Irish Argentinian fan in the house here yesterday, as you saw.
You did.
We went through this obviously a couple of weeks ago, and I asked Brody before the tournament kicked off, who will we support, and he kind of hinted maybe Portugal, and then he took a look at me and realised that Daddy wasn't in the humour for Portugal after the way things had gone with Ronaldo, and he says, why don't we support Argentina at that? And I said, okay, yeah, grand. So we got him his jersey and stuff like that, and he cheered them on every game. Now, he's a pretty good little fella, and he goes to bed at a certain time every night. So what happened was, he'd go to bed generally at half time in the game, about 7:45, and then the next morning he'd scuttle into and he'd say, did they win? Did they win? Like this. You're like, they won. He's like, yes, and he was delighted in himself.
Yeah.
But when they won yesterday, he watched the whole game with me, sat down beside me, and he was just gripped, and he was jumping up and down, and he has he's a big soft spot for Kylian Mbappe as well, so he's jumping up and down and all this, and Argentina won, and he was in floods of tears.
Yeah. You rang me, you video called me. It was amazing.
He was in floods of tears, and I was just like, holy shit. And he was so emotional, and I just thought, isn't it great that a kid can get enjoyment out of football like that? That's the kind of stuff that we fell in love with when we were kids. the romance of it and stuff like
Mm.
that. You know, it was brilliant. It really was.
I had to I have to say I got a bit emotional myself yesterday, and I haven't been the biggest Messi fan in the world. I put my hands up about that. But I mean you can't deny the guy. But I got quite emotional myself yesterday as well. At one stage I had to walk away from the TV and just take a moment to take it all in and stuff like that. And I was even saying, I said it to you guys in the chat yesterday, even when the players were walking out, imagine how they're feeling right now. Morris in the comments, the band is back together. I do want to let our friends in the chat know and who was viewing as well that I only got one side of that video yesterday of the young lad crying. I know for a fact there was a tear or two behind that phone as well, but I didn't get to see that now.
Now, actually, and I will hold my hand up. My nickname in the house here is Tiny Tears.
Yeah.
But I didn't shed a tear yesterday. I was just I don't even think it hit me, and I'll tell you why. It was just so frantic, and it was end to end, and it was goal after goal, and like it was gripping. Like Rosanna was heading out to get her nails done. You know, these ladies who lunch and stuff. She was heading out to get her nails done yesterday, and there was sort of 5 minutes gone, or 5 minutes to go, and then when she got to the nail bar, she sent me a message saying, "They're still watching it here. We're watching it here." You know, I was like, "This is 6 o'clock, 6:15, or whatever time it was on a Sunday evening," and they were watching it in the nail bar. You know, getting the nails done, and it was nail biting, shall we say?
Yeah, absolutely. Eno in the comments. What's the crack, Niall? How you doing, Daz? All good. Good to see Eno. Eno was in with me today. We were celebrating Christmas a little bit and having a chat about all things pro wrestling. So good to see you today.
He looked great in that jumper, didn't he?
He did, yeah. The Christmas jumper and the hat, to go with it as well.
Great today, Eno. Fair play to you, pal. Thanks for tuning in.
A few pictures were taken as well with a few belts in the shop as well, let's say. I don't know whether they're going to become Christmas cards or something like that. I'm not too sure, but we had a bit of crack today talking about wrestling and stuff like that. Right. We're also going to just to add to the Carabao Cup preview, because we couldn't just sidestep. We're going to talk about the World Cup and the tournament and what some of our highlights were and the stuff that came out of it. We're going to, of course, touch on the final. I think it's probably the greatest World Cup final I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
Probably along with the greatest World Cup I ever experienced. It did get off to a slow burn. A lot of negativity, a lot of wave of crap and stuff like that. And I have to say, and I'm calling out RTE and the panel yesterday, I thought Joanne Cantwell, was a disgrace yesterday. I thought they'd already spoken about all that other stuff and all those other issues and the negativity out of that. And she just wouldn't let it go yesterday either. And I think the guys on the couch even got a little bit fed up with it. Brady, I know, lashed out at one stage. He had enough. Like, it was time to talk about football. You were on the prefaces of an amazing final with the youth, with Messi, with all that and the romance of the football. There was no need to bring that stuff up again. There's a time and a place.
I couldn't bring myself to watch RTE. The only, like, I would always tune in to watch the Babe. I would be a big fan of theirs and what they do. Obviously, if RTE or if BBC aren't showing the game and I've no option but to watch RTE, that's a different story. But I just think RTE at times, it's so country bumpkin, isn't it? And it's, you know, some of the stuff that they say when they're, you know, you're looking for really good analysis on the football and they're telling you, oh, he looks like a fella that's gone for a taxi after a few points down in Temple Bar, and you're thinking, pal, what are you talking about? Like, you're you know, is someone paying you money for this dribble that you're churning out? It's ridiculous. And I have to be honest, you know, at times I have a little, a little bee in my bonnet about some of these female pundits. You know, there's some very, very good female pundits, by the way. Some very good. I don't know if you ever get the chance to watch Sue Smith on Sky Sports. She's excellent. She's very, very good. Very knowledgeable. She's a great pundit. But Joanne Cantwell is absolute garbage. Absolute garbage. You know, she's been put in there. She's been shoehorned into that position. And she is absolute, utter scutter, as they say, Niall. She's dreadfully poor.
It always amazes me in these tournaments and stuff like that, right? Why, rather than using a host that they don't get a footballer in and he kind of directs it and takes the cues and stuff. So let's say yesterday you could have had a couple of others who were in there on it and stuff like that, and maybe put Duffer in as the host or whatever it is, and let him sort of direct it and stuff like that and see how it goes, just for a bit of crack and something different.
Your
You know what I
problem
mean?
is, what happens if the likes of Kenny Cunningham and Richie Sadlier are throw their hat in the ring for that? They'll lose viewers completely. So two lads are two pork chops, like.
I
Unbelievable.
don't think they gained any viewers
Jesus Christ. The RT panels are absolutely horrific.
I
Like,
only
they
tune
really
in.
are.
I only tune in, and people who know this podcast know that at times I struggle with some of the pronunciations on the players, but I really only tune in for it yesterday. And the best one yesterday, and it was the whole game yesterday, Chouameni was Chow-Mani. And I was thinking, oh my God, as this guy's been commentating on games. This is not the first even French game.
It's not his first rodeo.
No, not at all. But I tell you, I really enjoyed it.
You know what really grates on me, and it's very similar to what you're talking about, but it's a general sport one. So you know when you tune in, we listen to the radio a good bit in the house, and when the sports headlines come on, and whoever's doing the sport is trying to tell you that such and such a player won a golf tournament, or such and such a player, and they butcher the most, the simplest of names, and you're like, oh my God, did nobody do any research into this, phonetically sound it out, or go and watch someone else say the name first to go, oh look, it's, you know what I mean, Chouamani instead of Chow-Mini. Like, fucking Jesus, man.
And it was every single time. And the more he did it, the more I fell around laughing at it. But it was hilarious. Having said that, you've brought up golf now. I don't know if anyone has been watching Tiger Woods' son playing golf. That
Charlie
guy
Woods
is nailed on for a green jacket, and a lot of them. This guy is showing up the dad. This guy is a serious golfer. And exactly like him. Carbon copy.
I won't lie. I was probably closer to a tear watching the two boys. It just, I don't know whether you've seen it. Charlie was taking a putt. I think it was, 10, 15 footer. And he hit the putt. And about 3 feet from the hole, he realised it was going in. And he went to put his putter up in the air, like to celebrate. Yeah. And as he did, the father was standing in the background. And he brought his putter to the other side. But they did it simultaneously. Like awesome.
Was that the one for his first eagle?
No, it wasn't. Oh, okay. But the symmetry between the two of them, he's genuinely a carbon copy of the old man.
Oh, ridiculous! I was looking at the two swings the other day, side by side, off the tee box. My God, has he been watching the outfit for years? It's incredible to see it. But a few massive sports star in the making. They're gonna.
And I was kind of saying, it's cool that I got to watch Tiger, because Tiger Woods was my hero growing up. Like, I was a big golfer.
Tiger Woods was my first golf bet I ever got up. I backed him in the Masters when he was the amateur.
Right, very good. So you fond memories there.
My first ever golf bet I won. And you know something? I think he was 20 to 1, and I had 20 on it. Yeah, picked up 400. Yeah.
Big first money ever back in the day.
First ever golf bet I ever won. Yeah,
that's a week's wages back in the day.
Easily.
Yeah. Well, I just thought it was cool that obviously he was my big hero growing up, and now the likes of my kids are going to get to watch Charlie Woods on his adventure, and I just thought that's something nice, there's something special about that,
You know the conversation's coming, don't you? Where they're going to turn around and go, "Was he as good as the old man, Dad?"
Yeah,
he's a lot to live up to, but he's looking smooth as anything.
Yeah, he sure is.
I love this answer on the Snoopy hat as well. Snoopy baseball cap.
Yeah, see, JT was trying to catch him out. It's obviously there's a little more background to that hat there. We might find out later down the line. Tiger might release something. Tiger was looking a bit sheepish. It looked like he was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna end up under the bus here." And the kid then managed to pull it out of it, and he was like, "That's a great answer." He was delighted.
It was the one that fit the best in the wardrobe.
Yeah.
See the other lad Tiger with the flag trying to trip the other lad up walking by as well.
Oh, it was brilliant.
It
was brilliant.
Love when that's happening. In the comments, Morris back in the comments. World Cup to Carabao. Life comes at us fast.
Sure does, Morris.
Certainly does. Martina is going to get a big move out of this. Yeah. What did you make of that yesterday? That gesture, let's say, with the Golden Glove trophy.
That was a bit of crack, wasn't it? Like, let's not forget, he's a goalkeeper. We're all touched in one way or another.
Yeah.
So, you know, the fact that he's having a bit of banter, like people are giving out all the time that, you know, players are robotic and there's no emotion and bloody black. Guy shows a bit of emotion, all of a sudden he's chopped to pieces. You're just thinking, Jesus, lads, like what can he do here? You know, I loved it. And I absolutely loved the shithousery of the penalties. He's in a World Cup final. Now, don't forget, I'm the same bloke who told you, if the Saudis decide to buy my club, they can stone me kids if they bring me a fucking league title, right? So you people giving out in the comments, oh, he threw the ball away. It wasn't sportsmanship. Simon Jordan came out on TalkSport today, said it was borderline cheating. Guess what, Simon? He just won a World Cup. He doesn't give a fiddler's what a private schoolboy from London talks about on TalkSport on his lunch break. Shut up. I'm a fan of Jordan, to be fair,
yeah,
but he's lost it at that. Like, Jesus.
yeah.
It's a World Cup final. What wouldn't you do to win the game?
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Morris, we were all wondering why she was there. Absolutely, it was crazy. Dare I say that celebration after the save as well. Would our friend Emmy Martinez, is he a pro wrestling fan? Has he been watching the Street Profits or what's going on?
He might have been.
The minute I seen him doing it, I thought you've been watching Montez Ford and the boys.
and you know what? You know what? It wasn't even the best save he made. The save he made from Colin Moani in the 94 or in the 124th minute. With that half volley, like that's the one that's won him the World Cup. Because don't forget, there's 20 seconds on the clock at that stage, and that game's over. Other than that stop, that was electric. That save.
Yeah, Ian in the comments, France were the aggressors in that game. Well, they were for the last 10 minutes. At the end of the day, Argentina have been the best team. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I look, as I said yesterday, it wouldn't matter to me either one, but I think the romance in us for football would say Messi and Argentina. Yeah. Yeah, Ted's in the comments. Go check out Ted Retrotainment, recast, all that good stuff. Chicken chow mania. Yeah, that's what it was like.
Chicken chow mania.
It was unbelievable. I have to say as well, Morris was hitting me up yesterday on WhatsApp, and every time Martinez scored a goal, or sorry, every time he made a save, I should say, Morris kept saying to me, "Can you believe we let him go? Can you believe we let him go?" And we kept Leno. He kept saying, "We kept Leno, and we let him go." That's right. He was bullying.
He's not wrong, though.
Acers in the comments. Watching RT Sport is like pulling teeth. Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely right, Acers.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, let's get in. We'll do the Carabao Cup first, will we? And we'll get it.
Sure, let's.
So we'll start off. MK Dons versus Leicester.
Yeah, I don't think there's too many Leicester players that hung around till the later stages of the World Cup. You know what I mean? I'd imagine they'll be in pretty good shape. And I think Brendan will look at this as an opportunity to get a trophy in the door. You know, if some of the bigger clubs can beat each other up, I think this opens the door for the likes of a team like Leicester maybe, or a Newcastle even, to nip in, you know.
Well, see, the difficulty with the Carabao Cup as well and trying to predict this, if you park a World Cup that's gone on for the last month, we still often don't even know what players are going to play or whether they're going to rotate depending on the positions.
Absolutely.
You know, if they've European football coming up.
In this stage of the competition, other than the fact that you guys have drawn City, you would predominantly put out a weekend side in this competition and give guys games and get them minutes and stuff like that under their belt. Klopp's done that for years. Yeah, you know, absolutely. Now obviously with the tie against City, he doesn't want to send, you know, his second side out there to be, you know, lance at the slaughter against City and give them some sort of psychological edge over them as well. So he might redress that balance slightly. But I think it'll be a good game actually. I think you guys going there straight after the World Cup, they'll be missing a couple of players, won't they, from the latter stages, will they? Trying to think.
Who this is us and City?
Oh, you and City, yeah?
Yeah, well, I know the plan is. Well, the plan is he said he's going to rest Virgil van Dijk and all, who finished up in the World Cup 10 days ago. I was watching Steve's channel there earlier. He was previewing as well, and they said, "What's he resting Van Dijk for? They were out 10 days ago, and it's not like they fly Ryanair." And this is a big. I find with these Carabao Cup games as well, where sometimes, like we won it last year, so we're the holders. But I find sometimes teams don't take it as serious as they should. But what it does is it can put you in the mode of winning, and winning is a habit. And what I wouldn't like, where I was coming from earlier was I was saying we should be playing a strong side in this and try to get one up on City again, and then that propels us into the Villa game. which is going to be a very tough game against Emery. And I was kind of thinking, you don't want to go into that after getting slapped up by Man City and giving away one of your trophies from last year, basically, and then move into that Villa game and try and raise your game again, and then Van Dijk comes back in and players come back in.
No,
Like that. It's real difficult.
I think that's why he won't go with a completely weakened side.
Mm.
But I do think after a tournament like that, you've got to allow the players in slowly and let them just find their feet. Like little things are going to play havoc with them. Look at the Heat, for instance. They've been out in really, really hot conditions and stuff like that. Very easy to come back to the UK after that. The cold snap we've had and how cold it is and stuff like that. And have an injury, a muscular injury, very, very quickly because they're not warmed up properly to the degree that they were when they were away. So time will tell. I think he probably got the right idea to use them sparingly to begin with, and then a week or two in, have everyone firing on all cylinders. I think that's what most teams will do, I'd imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. Acers in the comments. So odd there's no game tomorrow on TV. Myself and Darren would have two words for you there. One is Amazon and the other is Fire Stick. And we'll say nothing else. And Morris, get yourself a dodgy box, Acers.
Yeah.
whatever the dodgy box is. And Eno's in the comments. What's the crack, Morris? Yeah, so let's go. Newcastle, Bournemouth.
Yeah, I can only see Bournemouth in this one. Or sorry, Newcastle in this one, if I'm honest. I think Bournemouth obviously won't have had an awful lot of players away for this. Gary O'Neill would have had a pretty full squad. I know Newcastle would have been missing quite a few players, but I think most of them were quarterfinals and they were out the door. So again, similar to Van Dijk, they're probably 10 days out of the tournament now. He may play a couple of them. He may not. He may keep them for Boxing Day I
think a lot of the players he had away as well, they didn't get a lot of game time either. Callum Wilson was kind of sparingly used.
Very sparingly.
Guimaraes was sparingly used. Pope didn't play at all.
Pope didn't. Exactly. Yeah, so yeah, you'll probably see a couple of them play and maybe you'll see the rest of them involved on Boxing Day and stuff like that on Stevens' Day,
Morris in the chat, evening. Ian, happy Christmas. Yeah, happy Christmas to everyone in the chat. We'll take this moment, actually. We will be doing a show on Thursday. It will be a festive show. So we're going to be bringing you our festive Beat the Bookie for the Christmas period, which will be a lot of fun. We love doing that, of course. And we'll be giving a Premier League preview, of course. But what we'll also be talking about is we'll be talking about we'll chat about some Christmas movies, I think, at the same time, just to have a bit of fun.
I have some bad news.
You're not available?
I'm going to see Westlife on Thursday.
I just want this noted in the chat. I want this clipped and recorded that I have been thrown under the bus for Westlife. I just want people to know that.
I'm going out for the evening with my good lady wife.
Just to let people know as well, we're seeking a part-time podcaster as well, if anyone's available. Oh God. Yeah, Morris, where am I going? Morris in the chat. Hit the likes on the video. Absolutely, folks. Likes, subscribe, notification, and also do it on all the channels in the chat as well, including Morris's and Ted's. Don't forget to check out as well on Voice the 9 Lives of Vince McMahon. Morris is featured in that on his podcast. So get out there, find that, watch it, and enjoy it. Acers back in the comments. Eddie Howe has to take this and FA Cup very seriously. Newcastle board won't expect failure this season. I don't know. I think Eddie Howe is well positioned in the Premier League at the moment and things will be very happy. I don't think the people involved in Newcastle will be too upset about the Carabao Cup looking at where Newcastle are.
No, probably
Ted
not.
In the comments, Dazzler. It's now in the chat. I want to like the video and convince Dazzler he shouldn't be going to Westlife. Give him socks over this. Ted, boy band, a good boy band. Ted wants to know if you got a spare ticket. No, not a good boy band. Dazzler be going in.
Man.
Dazzler be going in. Skinny jeans, white sneakers, the whole lot dressed up. Probably a suit jacket as well, and a white shirt with the collar out over it.
Absolutely won't have a suit jacket on.
Circa
you can fucking guarantee that.
Acer's in the comments here. I would rather pour hot sauce and vinegar in my eyeballs than go to gay group gig. I wouldn't go that far now. I wouldn't go that far. Right, Southampton versus Lincoln.
Lovely lads.
Southampton versus Lincoln.
Yeah, this will be interesting, won't it? First game, am I right? For the new Southampton gaffer?
No, didn't he play against us before the breakup?
Was he in at that stage, or had he just been announced?
He was. Yeah, no, I think he was, wasn't he? Didn't he manage the team? Wasn't he in the dugout against us? I think, wasn't it at Anfield?
I remember the game, but I'm not 100% sure that he took a full part in it, let's say. But listen, again, Southampton, another team that won't have had huge numbers there. And for them, this was a great opportunity to really get that pre-season feel about things. Get the guys a week off maybe, and then get them in for 2 weeks of hard running and some tactical work, some set pieces, really trying to communicate the what he's looking for as a manager around the team and the club and stuff like that. And I think it's a great time for Southampton to make the change. I fancy them. I fancy them to do Lincoln in. Shouldn't be a big issue, I don't think.
Yeah, absolutely. Wolves versus Gillingham.
Yeah, Wolves will be missing a couple, I'd imagine. A couple of the Portuguese boys will be missing, won't they, from the quarter-final action,
yeah.
I'd imagine,
Ruben Neves will be missing anyway.
Moutinho, probably the boy, Semedo as well. Was he there? I think he might have been there, was he?
Not too
Maybe
sure.
he wasn't. But yeah, there'll be a few of them missing. Again, obviously, Raul Jimenez, he was back in action for Mexico, which was good for Wolves. He needed game time and he needed goals and stuff like that. Chan, obviously, he took an opportunity or two over there with South Korea. So, yeah, there's probably pluses for Wolves coming out of this. And obviously then they've got their new manager as well, don't they? Julian Lopetegui, which is a huge addition to the league. I think they'll do a number on Gillingham, I really do. And I think they'll get themselves into a quarter-final tie.
Yeah. Apart from the two bottom ties, which obviously we've an interest in, obviously, and they're nicely positioned, I'm really looking forward to Blackburn versus Nottingham Forest. I think that's going to be a cracking game.
Yeah, and I suppose, again, like Steve Cooper's going to look at this and say, as you've talked about earlier, winning is a habit. Excuse me. And they've got to, Forest have to find that winning habit, don't they? They started to turn a corner slightly before we went on to the international break, to the World Cup and stuff like that. They need to keep this going. Probably haven't had lots of guys away. We know there's been a few of them away, but not lots. Lots of them still doing some good work. Steve Cooper still looking to get a message across and stuff like that. I think Forest should be able to do this. I think Forest with the squad they have, the Brennan Johnsons and the Froilers from the Swiss boy there, and Renan Lodi and Nico Williams and Dean Henderson, they should have enough for Blackburn.
Yep. Charlton versus Brighton.
Yeah, Valley's not an easy place to go. The pitch is an absolute mud bath. We know Brighton like to play decent style of football, good brand of football, and it won't suit them playing at the Valley. And the other thing that I will say is, it's Brighton, their biggest issue has been scoring goals. And when you're on a pitch like that, that can also affect you a little bit. I think this might go a little bit further than it should, but I think Brighton will get over the line eventually.
Yeah, I think there's rain forecast for the middle of the week and stuff like that. So I wouldn't be surprised at Charlton there if we have an L pitch inspection and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a shocker of a pitch, the Valley.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's dire.
And of course, Brighton will be missing McAllister, good man Ted,
sure
for that
will.
game, surely. Yeah, 100% Ted. So yeah, but I would expect Brighton to have enough. We shall see. Man United Burnley.
Yeah, it's great to see the lads back in action. Obviously, I can't see past us. No reason why I should. Burnley are in great form. Playing very, very well in that championship. There's a hint of the Ole Gunnar Solskjaer United about them. They concede the first goal and then they come and score 2 or 3. They're playing very well under Vincent Kompany, but listen, we're playing at Old Trafford. We have a lot of guys back here after the World Cup. We should be looking to beat beat Burnley, and we should be looking to do it convincingly.
Yeah, absolutely. Be interesting to see how it goes. Burnley will give you a decent game, though. Should be good. And then the bottom one is City versus us again. It depends on the lineups and stuff like that. But again, should be a really competitive game. We know how Pep likes this trophy as well. He likes this tournament, so
You do.
he'll be.
Plus, I'm sure there's a boy sitting in that City stadium now thinking, I haven't had a game in 3 or 4 weeks. So I need to score a goal or two here. The beast himself.
Scored the other night, didn't he, against Girona, was it? Girona, I think they played.
Yeah, it's another one of the City group, isn't it?
Yeah, they played it at the training facility though, not at the Etihad, interestingly.
It's probably a better atmosphere.
Probably more showed up. Acers is not a Westlife fan, a bunch of assholes. Tell me what happened. Did you break up with a girl going to one of these concerts or something like that? You're not happy with Westlife. Tell us who it is you like. Ted back in.
Or was it that she said she didn't like it when you were looking like that?
Ted, that'll be 3/4 of the team, sure. Yeah, absolutely. Blackburn are on ridiculous run in championship at the moment. Yeah, absolutely. That's what I think that's going to be. That could be the game of the round, believe it or not. And that's coming from a Liverpool fan. Ted back in as well. Brighton will be missing McAllister for that game, surely. Yeah, 100%. Without a doubt. But Maguire will be starting. Don't think you have any choice because obviously Varane and Lissandro won't be there. So
no,
Lindelof
it'll be Lindelof and Maguire more than likely, won't it?
Maguire, yeah. And then you're probably talking Wan-Bissaka as well, aren't you? Because Dalot, there's an issue. Dalot, was he injured or something? I heard.
No, he's back now.
Okay. I thought I read something this morning there that he was injured or something. He'd be gone with Wan-Bissaka or something like that. Shaw, I presume, on the other side if he fancies it.
Maybe Brandon Williams. Or Malacia, you have options. I wouldn't like to see Wan-Bissaka, if I'm honest. He's the only one I don't really want to see. Well,
I suppose you have to put him in the shop window for January, though, don't you?
Yeah, I think there's a deal on the table already, isn't there? West Ham looking to take him on loan, aren't they?
Yeah, something like that, I'd say. Yeah, clearing the decks anyway. So yeah, interesting. We'll keep an eye on this throughout the weekend or throughout the week. Of course, I'll drop a preview on the Shankly sessions for Man City versus Liverpool, where we look at it a little bit in depth, if we can try and figure out what players are going to be available to do stuff and all. So we will keep an eye on that. Next up, we're going to have a chat. We're going to talk about combined 11. We're going to do this time now, folks. You were on it last day or the other night. You thought it was a combined 11 for the whole thing. This is the combined 11 for the whole thing. The other night was a combined 11 just for the final. Now,
except don't forget, we're keeping out France and Argentina.
Then I'm in trouble. I forgot that.
You forgot that, did you?
I forgot that we were keeping out France and Argentina. Yeah, so I'll give you my one anyway. But we'll go through yours. Then I've totally forgot that. I never even thought of that today. There you go. Even
go
I
on.
messed up.
Roll with it. So
yeah, we'll go with yours obviously. But I thought we'd have a quick chat about the lads in the chat in the WhatsApp group. Obviously brought up. Greg mentioned the Sky Sports team of the tournament.
Yes.
And there was some interesting choices in it. I mean, some of them weren't.
There was one very interesting choice in it.
I mean, the one that kicks off the pitch straight away, Harry Maguire.
Was Joanne Cantwell doing some consultancy for Sky that day or something?
Nah, Brady wouldn't even allow that to happen.
Jesus Christ, man!
He couldn't be associated with a pick like that.
How did Harry Maguire get into the team of the tournament? Like, come on. Jesus Christ. It's mind-boggling. Like, I actually think somebody stuck it in just to go, wait till you see this. They were fishing. They threw Maguire in and went, watch them all boy here. And you know what? They were right, because we did all boy.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The injustice.
When I looked at it, I was thinking, how's Jude Bellingham feeling right now? You know what I mean? There they go. It's Sky Sports. They're crowbarring in an English player. And of all the players to crowbar in, Harry Maguire. And I just thought, oh my God. You know,
it was abysmal. It was absolutely abysmal.
Yeah, absolutely. Spurs are. Here we go. Hang on. Where do we start? Ted. They must have set out some ground rules that eliminated everyone bar Maguire. Yeah, could be. Aces in the comments. Spurs are favourites to sign Maguire in the summer. Yeah, I heard that. Interesting. Darren has volunteered his services. He'll drive him all the way to London, no problem.
I'll
Every
piggyback the big lump of useless piss. I will piggyback him.
must have a big square head and a fought in Greece in order to get picked. Possibly. Yeah, so interesting. So listen, go on, kick off. Give us your team then, saying as I messed up, and I'll tell you who I picked as my team and see what you think of that if they had been included. I totally forgot to exclude France and
well, yeah.
Argentina.
So knowing that we were excluding France and Argentina, I started off in goal, and it's the boy Livia at Croatia.
Yeah.
He was absolutely superb. Now, it was a toss of a coin because I was a huge fan of the boy Bono as well.
Yeah.
I thought he had a great tournament. A keeper that I've seen quite a bit of because obviously the Sevilla have done a number on United a couple of times the last few years. And he's obviously he's there at Sevilla. Very, very good goalkeeper. Tough to get past. But I just went with the Croatian lad. I thought he just did enough for me, I went in at right back. Where's my right back gone? Why can't I think of me right back? I know what you're thinking. Why didn't you make? Oh, sorry, it was the boy Hakimi. I went for the boy Hakimi, from Morocco.
Good show.
Thought he was excellent. He's obviously, he's PSG. He's played for Inter. He's top quality. This kid. He was a great leader on the pitch for Morocco as well. I really, really loved him. I've gone in at centre back then, and I've gone for probably, I would say, one of the players who did the most good for his profile, while he was at the World Cup, and that's Vardiol of Croatia. Most people will know him as Zorro, the man on the mask.
Absolutely.
But he was absolutely unbelievable. Really was. He was so good, so good. I seen something the other day where apparently City are heavily linked with him already, and I just thought, Jesus, every time City get linked with a player, I just think it's making them better. Like, I don't want this. I don't need this in my life right now. They got Haaland. Now they're looking at Vardiol. Apparently, their other top target is Jude Bellingham. Was like, if they've got Haaland, Bellingham, and Vardiol down the spine of their team, the rest of us can stop playing. Like, this is getting ridiculous. Do you know? He obviously had a great World Cup. Was very, very good. Finding a partner for him wasn't as easy. And this is where actually looking at the Sky Sports, and I'm certainly not saying I'm picking Maguire, but there isn't an awful lot of standout performers when you go through the tournament and stuff like that. A tough position to fill. So what I did was I only played with 3.
Fair enough. That's okay.
I went with, and rather than going with 3 centre backs, which is typically if you're going with a flat back 3, I actually played a diamond 4 in the middle, and I played with 3 up front because I could get more players in that way. Certain players that I was looking for, Yeah,
I suppose outside of the finalists, you could have went with a Van Dijk maybe, who didn't have too bad a tournament.
Well, I mean, the problem is you're going with a Van Dijk. You're going in with Van Dijk on the basis that he's one of, if not the top, centre back in the world. You're not necessarily going with him because he's had a very, very good tournament. Do you know what I mean? Now, that's not to say he hasn't had a decent tournament, but it's just, it wasn't all it could have been. That's all.
Yeah.
Okay, left back. I really should have wrote this down. I was like, I wrote it on the back of the matchbox. What did you do with it? I threw it in the bin earlier.
The Matchbox being the
Shit.
iPhone.
Yeah.
You kind of
I
gave us your midfield. You gave us your midfield.
Well,
The other
no, I
night,
haven't
remember?
given you me. I haven't given. Yeah, no, I listen. Me midfield stitched up.
Yeah.
Don't worry about that. And I actually played. Would you believe it? Diamond in midfield. And I'll tell you why I did that, because I felt like with a diamond in midfield, I could have Modric, I could have Amrabat, I could have Unani, and I could have, and this is my moment to get an English player in, Bellingham.
Absolutely.
And I thought, rather than playing, wingers, I went with 2 fullbacks, 1 centre back. I went with, 4 midfielders, 4 central midfielders, but in a diamond, one can sit, one can go. They can pop the ball about between the 4 of them. Like, I don't think those 4 are giving the ball away, if I'm honest.
When I give you my team, we thought the exact same, and we didn't discuss it, because I went with a
really?
3-4-3 with a diamond as well.
Really?
Yeah, and we didn't even
Wow.
talk. I'll call them out to you when we get to it. Yeah, absolutely.
Wow. And then up front, I've gone with I've gone with Ziyech.
Okay.
I thought he was good.
Mhm.
I thought, if I'm a Chelsea fan, I'm wondering why I'm not seeing this week to week. I know he's had his injuries and stuff like that. But I still think I'd want a serious conversation when he gets back to Stamford Bridge, and I'd be saying, listen, if this is what you're capable of, and if this is where you're setting the bar, don't be coming in here day to day giving me anything that's 15-20% less than that, because it's just not going to sit with me anymore.
Yeah.
When I've seen what you can do firsthand.
He comes across as a confidence player that needs to be man managed, doesn't he? He wants to feel loved, I think. And at Chelsea, I think he
Absolutely.
just feels he's the outcast. So he said there's a lot. He often looks like he just doesn't care. Like,
Yeah. Now, the other thing I will say about that is, we know there's lots of players that decide that they'll show up for either club or country. Like Steven Gerrard wasn't the player he was at Liverpool in an England shirt. It just didn't
yeah.
happen.
Mm.
However, there were other players who looked way better in an England jersey than they did when they played in their club shirt. And I just think Ziyech is one of them. I just think when he hears that national anthem, it just makes him, a couple of inches taller.
But that's what I mean. The confidence. He's the focal point of the team. He's treated in a certain kind of stature.
Yeah, but I don't necessarily think he is. Like, there's so many good players there. Look at Amrabat, look at Unani, look at El Nassiri. Like, it's not like he's the only guy in there that pulls the
No, I don't
strings.
mean like that, but what I mean is they look to him as a leader and stuff like that on the pitch. They look to him, and as quiet as he is, they still look to him. If you look at how often does the ball come through him and everything and stuff like that, they feed him all the time. They see him as being that focal guy.
Yeah, and listen, like, he
was.
Yeah, he sure was. I'm gonna annoy you now.
You can't. There's no way you can do this. If you do, you'll be killed off the stream. If you put either of those 2 in, you're gonna get jumped off. There's no way. There's 4.
Richarlison was unbelievable. He was unbelievable. He really was.
I just want to go to Ted. Ted's in the comments. I think I'd have gone with Saka over Ziyech, but can't really make an argument against Ziyech either. Ted, please come in and make an argument for Richarlison, will you? This is hurting me now. This is wounding me.
And if I really want to really do you in, I'm going to stick Neymar on the left as well.
Oh, God.
You're
a Man United fan. You're trying to convince Cody Gapco to go to United, who had a decent tournament.
Cody was good. He had a good tournament. I thought Neymar and Richarlison were better, though. I won't lie. I'm a big Richarlison fan. We've had this a number of times.
Yeah, these are tears now. These aren't messy tears. These are just I can't believe
the 2 boys they were immense at times for Brazil. I don't necessarily think it was down to them, the fact that they didn't get through. I think when you're going in with guys in your back line like Thiago Silva and Dani Alves, you're gonna struggle. Like, the lads are over the hill and far away at this stage. They really are.
Leaders drag their teams through moments. I don't want to hear any excuses. It wasn't their fault.
Well, I mean, if
Snitsky.
listen, there's more than one of them in there, but
No,
yeah, like
I'm lying at both of them. I don't care.
no, you're not happy with either of them, ain't it?
No, I'm lying there. I'm going out on both of them. I don't care.
Well, I've gone in with CH and Richarlison and Neymar in front of me diamond, and me back three and me keeper. So
Neymar can fuck off wanting to take the last penalty. The whole last penalty thing, isn't it? And then you see for France, then the two boys just step up for France and Argentina. No messing about. Give me that ball.
let me put them 1-0 up and get the ball rolling.
Yeah. Let me get it in motion here. Okay, so that's your team.
Sorry, pal.
That's your team. Oh God. Right, I'll tell you what I went in because obviously I had the brain fart about France and Argentina. I never even thought about it. I even did up a lovely slide, and I even put the team in the Argentinian colours and
Come on, let's
everything I
see.
did.
What have we got?
So I'll call it out to you because I have it here. I had the Sky one there beside it for comparison. So I went with Martinez in goals. Of course, Emmy, you couldn't not put him in there. I think there's no doubt he was absolutely fabulous and electric.
Mm-hmm.
Back three, I didn't lay it out as a diamond, but you can see it's the way it's set up with the manpower. It's a diamond.
Absolutely.
Konate, Otamendi was a tough one for me to put in there, but I couldn't resist it.
He was very good.
You convinced me the other night that he should be in there.
He was very good.
Vardiol, of course, who you picked in your own team, goes in there as well. So solid. Then a midfield, of course, Enzo Fernandez, Amrabat, Bellingham, and Griezmann. I think is as good a midfield as you'd find anywhere worldwide.
Yeah, we went for two of the same lads, and if you hadn't gone for the RG and the Frenchman, you might have stuck in Modric and Onani.
Modric would have definitely been in there, and probably Onani as well. Yeah, so we would have matched. And then up the front, of course, Mbappe, Messi, and I put in Julian Alvarez.
Has he started a bit of an argument here now? Julian Alvarez. I mean,
he's definitely given his gaffer an option, hasn't he, and a headache?
Sure hasn't he?
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
You go back there to City, you're telling them you're playing games, right?
Yeah.
Like, listen, gaffer, I'm going to play games here. Who did he remind you of when you looked at him? Because when I seen him yesterday, there was, I'd say it was probably in the first half of the game, and Argentina were just forced to every ball. They were closing down. They were hassling. They were harrying. And I just looked at this young Julian Alvarez and I went, Carlos Tevez got a lot better looking, didn't he? You know, just that kind of a terrier, just that, snapping at your heels, not giving you a moment, industry, work rate, but with quality is wrong.
Reminded me a bit of Michael Owen as well. There was a bit of Michael Owen in there as well, in the way he moved and closed down at times. I thought it was very impressive as well. Yeah. But yeah, very good, yeah.
I don't think I ever saw Michael Owen close anyone down.
Remember when they played Argentina? Remember the goal he scored as well?
Yeah, he scored a great goal, and one of the best goals in World Cup history, let's not forget. What a goal. But I don't see...
But not anymore.
Yeah, well, you weren't going to be playing a high press with him, put it that way, like when he's busy scratching the town halls. He was the only
certainly not when they went down to 10 anyway.
Do you reckon at that stage you was wondering, is that Luca Bish burying my daughter?
Jesus. Ted's back in the comments. Haaland too wasn't even in the World Cup. Gaffer, get me on that pitch.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Don't know. You know it's going to go back to Haaland. You know Haaland will just strangle him unconscious anyway before the game kicks off.
They won't even find his body.
He's stuffed up on the side of his jersey.
Has anyone seen Julian? Where is Julian Alvarez? Nowhere to be found. And your man eating the paper now. He's a gorilla, isn't
he? him and Haaland remind me of, remember in Total Recall, remember when your man opens up the shirt and your man, the alien guy is built into his body. That reminds me of Haaland and Julian Alvarez in that original Total Recall. Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think, now not right now, excuse me, but do you think with 18 months or 2 years down the road, they could be the new Niall Quinn and Kevin Phillips?
Scary to say it, but I think they'll probably be better.
I mean, as a little and large, they could be immense. Absolutely immense. You know, I
I,
would
I,
love to see the two of them do a job
I
against, and this is gonna sound horrible. I'd love to see what they did as a duo against Lindelof and Maguire. I think I'd pay money to see that, even as a United fan. Maybe just in the semi of the Carabao or something would do me, like just
the
to
only the only thing I'm thinking
Jesus.
is I don't know whether Haaland would be as generous as Quinn at putting Phillips in Julian Alvarez.
Oh,
Haaland,
absolutely not.
Haaland's not going to head it down for him. Haaland's going to chest it down and volley it every time, isn't he? I would have thought.
Jesus.
Right, let's get on then and talk about the World Cup, and let's talk about kind of what we witnessed with the final and stuff like that and all, and some of the key moments. And there's been, I have to say, like I know the FIFA president came out, and I know he gets a lot of stick and stuff like that and all, but he made some
And
very
rightly
good,
so.
yeah, and but he made some great points. He made some great points about the way the tournament progressed, and the lack of all this kind of violence and stuff that goes with the drinking that we made the point about the other day and stuff that, and you made a strong point the other day that maybe it's not as called for to the level that it does be at in order to be able to enjoy these tournaments. Ted back in just with Haaland before we move on. Haaland would never be Niall Quinn. Quinn won't score a goal with his arse because he missed the header. Absolutely. But yeah, I mean, give me your thoughts on it. I mean, it's been a fabulous World Cup, hasn't it, really?
I just think, with the level of expectation we had going into the competition and going into the tournament, everybody was we were all a bit downbeat, weren't we? We're all a bit negative to start off with. We were all kind of looking into the glass and thinking, is that a bit half empty? And then obviously, when the tournament starts off, it's a little bit of a damn squid in the opening game and stuff like that. And you're thinking, oh God, what's it going to be like? And then all of a sudden it just sparks into action. And then we saw game after game and goal after goal and decisions and extra time and, added time and goals and saves. And it just rode the crest of a wave then for a couple of weeks, didn't it? And all of a sudden you're kind of at the quarterfinals and you're like, wow, we're here already. Like we've flown through them group stages, And then obviously when you get to the quarters, you're left with 8 of the best in the world, and the quality is going to be on show. Like even like I watched the package last night. The package that they the highlight package.
Highlight package, yeah.
At the end, and I actually, would you believe, I said to Brody, I says, this is always the best part of the tournament. And he says, what's that? And I said, the highlight package. I said, because they show you they'll show you it all. And I said, they'll put some really good music to it. Right. Yeah. And I was watching it, and you know what almost slipped my mind? Best free kick we've ever seen in the history of football, the Dutch against Argentina.
What a game. What a game.
I saw the goal again. I went, Jesus Christ, with what's going on here? I nearly forgot that. Like, that was unbelievable. Sean Dyche must have been pulling every blade of hair he has left in his head out. I'd say it took him about 14 seconds. Because don't forget, he splashed big money on the boy Vighorst to try and fire him out of the relegation battle at Burnley. And he couldn't hit a barn door with a banjo until the World Cup quarters, when he starts to look like Gert Muller. Like, what the hell was
that? In there, son, and make a name for yourself.
Jesus Christ, man.
Next morning getting linked with Real Madrid and everything and all what's going on here.
God, like, it was unbelievable. Oh, it really, really was. I got to say, I thought the fans were unbelievable. Really, really unbelievable. And I suppose, and we spoke about this the other evening, I think one of the things for me that really skilled me must have been a long day. I swear I wasn't making 2 bunk beds out of a flat pack for 6 hours. I think one of the things that really made it for me was the enjoyment of not once over the competition having to turn on Sky News to see rival fans, at each other in the local square where there'd been too much sangria consumed, popping chairs through windows. And I just thought, you know what, for once, we got to see the beautiful game as the beautiful game. And I think it's a credit to Qatar, in that sense. And obviously their culture lends itself that sort of family orientated situation where alcohol's not a big part of everyday life and stuff like that. And it was brilliant. It really, really was. Like, congratulations to them.
Yeah, Ted in the comments, I've never understood the idea of needing a few drinks to enjoy football. Imagine going to a World Cup to watch your country and needing a drink.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly with you, Ted. I obviously I'm a huge United fan, and I go over quite a bit. I'm heading over in January to the Manchester Derby for good or for bad. I thought I'd better go over and see this fella Haaland and see how Eric and the boys are getting on. But I went over to United Portsmouth a good couple of years ago at this stage. Myself and one of the lads got the boat over. I drove the car up and stuff like that, as I do.
Yeah.
And two of the other lads flew over. We said we'll meet when we get there, whatever, blah, de blah. So we left and we got the late boat home, pulled in the next morning. 6:30, 7 o'clock, same as usual. And one of the lads got off the flight the next morning and he read in the paper that Ronaldo had scored one of the best goals Old Trafford ever seen, the free kick against David James. But he couldn't remember it. Like, that is fucking criminal to go to a game like that, see a goal like that, and not remember it because you are absolutely out of your banana boat. Do you know what I mean? It's just...
Yeah. Ted, not to mention, if they started smashing places up, it's not a few hours in the cell that your fucking hands cut off.
Yeah. But listen,
fear's a great equaliser, isn't it?
Doesn't it just show that, like, they could fall into line when they had to? When the carrot was dangled enough, and when the punishment was obviously going to be severe enough. Like, yourself, you've gone in. I've been in court before. The old traffic violation. You go in and Johnny's sitting there on the back of the court, and he's got 57 previous convictions, and he's sitting there having 4 cans of Tuborg before he goes up to Belgium in front of the magistrate or the judge or whatever. You're just thinking, like, this is crazy. There's no deterrent here in our judicial system whatsoever, and I would include the UK when I talk about that, but obviously these lads, they've got it nailed down over there. Pardon the pun, might be nailed on.
The only thing I would say, I have sat in the Aviva on a cold winter night watching Ireland play against the likes of Oman and stuff like that, and I have needed a whiskey just to survive it, not to get out of my face around like that or cause a ruckus, but just to survive the 90 minutes and get through it. Sometimes a little bit is needed without going overboard. Just touched on, I want to touch on some of the points. Obviously, Cristiano Ronaldo became the first man to score at 5 World Cups, kicking in a penalty against Ghana in the Group H game. Portugal won against Ghana. Cristiano.
Who was he? I don't think I've heard of him, have
we? Messi became the top scorer for Argentina with 11 goals, of course, surpassing Gabriel Batistuta, which was huge. Absolutely, I was a huge fan of Batistuta back in the day. What a player.
Batty goal, as they used to call him.
And of course, so many records went here. Olivier Giroud becoming the top goal scorer for France, taking over from Thierry Henry as well, which was massive as well.
Yes, and Harry Kane.
Yeah.
Harry Kane took over from Wayne Rooney, didn't he?
Yeah, I think that's
as England's all-time record goal scorer. He sure did,
as far as I know, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
And Morocco, of course, went on a historic run, becoming the first Arab and African team to reach a World Cup semi-final. So hats off to them. They brought us on a great journey. And I think at one stage in this group, at one stage in this World Cup, anyone who's a football fan became a Moroccan fan at some stage.
Absolutely. Did you look at Morocco? Excuse me. Oh, did you look at Morocco? And did you just get a whiff of Ireland off them? And did you just think, this is who I'm pinning me master, me flag to? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I loved it, I gotta say.
This is kind of your Iceland moment, isn't it? This is
you know what
Iceland
I mean?
moment.
Yeah, and there's always it's been us at times. We've done it before, quarterfinals of the World Cup in Italia 90. And you go through to other World Cups, you go through to other Euros, and you see, you see countries do these things like this, the Czech Republic getting to the final of the Euros and stuff like that in 96. There was always small countries that can do big things on the grand stage. And it was great to see Morocco do it. Really, really was.
Yeah, absolutely. Acer's in the comments. Agent of Endo Fernandez has come out and said Liverpool doesn't have a agreement with Benfica. Absolutely. And I'm a Liverpool fan, but I tell you now, if I was Enzo Fernandez, I wouldn't be doing a pre-contract with anyone. I would test the market, as they say. Ian back in the comments with the mess, as in Messi. Tiernan, thanks for joining us tonight, Tiernan Grogan. Apart from the lack of human rights and all the workers who died building those stadiums, it was an amazing World Cup, absolutely. And I love those 10:30 kickoffs we would watch at the back of religion. Nice, nice. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, we don't forget about all that other stuff. We don't park it. We know there's a lot of that stuff is going on and stuff like that.
I could come at that one. I could come at that one, what he put up there, but you know what? I won't. But what I'll do is I'll send you the message I send them after we get off this, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm kind
of thinking he started out that, and then he said, "I'm watching the matches at 10:30 at the back of the religion class." And I'm there going, yeah, nice one.
At least he was watching them from the back of the religion class, and not from the bathroom. He'll know what I mean when I say that.
Very good. And also glad to see the GOAT win. Yeah, absolutely. I think
sure was too.
Yeah, absolutely. Acer's back in the comments as well. You mean Dazzler win the beefy banker trial in 2008? What's that about? Who's that guy? That guy got access to Google.
Jesus Christ.
Take that man's access to Google off him straight away. Ted in the comments again. CR7, less World Cup knockout goals than Robbie Keane.
I fucking love it, Ted.
I read a stat there. We wanted to talk about TalkSport as well, and I think it was Jermaine Pennant was on it, and he was giving out yards about Southgate. This whole Southgate debate has really blown up, and he was giving out yards about Southgate, and he made the comment, and I couldn't believe it. He said a team like England, and I'm not quoting him verbatim here, he made the point that a team like England should be steamrolling teams like France. And I was there going, what? What football have you been watching in the last 10 years that teams like England should be steamrolling France? And then he made the point that the French team had so many players missing. And then I put a comment underneath it saying, I said, don't forget, your right back and your left back were missing as well. Your first choices in Chilwell and Reece James. So don't forget, you weren't exactly a full strength yourselves. But it was a crazy comment to think that the expectation would be England should go out there and just power by France.
Well, I kind of heard a little bit of it, but I suppose England didn't lend themselves to going out winning that tournament. Gareth Southgate had the reins put on that side. You know, you had options where you could possibly let them have a run of teams, but they didn't. And I suppose that's where it's coming from. It's the frustration of knowing you possibly had enough there to do a job on teams, and to go and try and steamroll teams. There's no saying it's going to happen. Obviously, it's world football, but to go and give it a try. Southgate, we've spoke about it. He doesn't have the bravery for that. He doesn't have the bottle. He doesn't have the cojones for that, you know.
Yeah, I think when they look back at his shift as England manager, I think where there'd be a lot of positivities coming out of it and stuff like that, and things he did and stuff like that. But there'll be a lot of regrets and missed opportunities as well in terms of the way he approached certain moments at certain times and stuff like that. Real missed opportunities, I think, because he has a fantastic selection of players, and even some that we mentioned that he didn't even bring and all, you know. So yeah, it's an interesting one with him, isn't it? We also, of course, we saw Saudi Arabia beat Argentina, which was for them like winning the World Cup. When you're seeing the celebrations, it's mad to think about that. You know?
I might need to just go back to that.
Okay.
Do you know why I'm going back to this?
A few bob. Did someone win a few bob or something?
No, not necessarily. But I do remember the day after Saudi Arabia did a number on Argentina. You called me out in the comments in our WhatsApp group. about my pick for Argentina and my pick for Martinez, the
Golden Glove.
goalkeeper.
Yeah,
Do you remember?
yeah. But I also
That
came
didn't
back
age
on it.
very well, did it?
No, but I also, if you remember, I came on about a match or two later, and I said, remember, I put out the point that he was your pick in the group and stuff like that, and fair play, what a pick it was. If you remember, so I did eat that humble pie afterwards. There's no doubt about it. But we also see Germany as well, the 2014 champions, suffered a shock defeat to Japan, who also brought us on a little bit of a ride in this tournament as well, which was kind of cool as well. We also seen history in the tournament as well, with a full complement of female officials who officiated what was the game that they officiated? Mexico.
That's
wasn't
right,
it? Yeah, sorry. No, it was Costa Rica versus Germany in the Group E match. Costa Rica versus Germany.
It was the last game in the group, wasn't it? The 4-2.
Right, yeah, and they officiated, which was great to see as well. And then, of course, what else can we say? The final, Messi lifting the trophy and Argentina winning, and what a final it was, and the emotion and the roller coaster they brought us on.
And I love the idea of the discussions that are going to be had now about expanding it and stuff, and obviously doing something to the knockout stages and stuff like that. So, that's obviously been muted in the last couple of days. I think it's only a plus, isn't it? When you look at how the tournament went and stuff like that, I think FIFA at times can't do right for wrong, and only in hindsight, when we look back and we see the likes of Morocco, we see the likes of Saudi Arabia getting victories and stuff like that. That you can say, what, introducing these extra countries is a great idea, and it's an idea which down the road is gonna hopefully provide a legacy for some of those countries, the way it did for Ireland in the early 90s, and which got us up and running. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
Every fan of a country deserves to go on that journey.
Yeah,
I believe, and I think it can do wonders for your country. Really can.
Yeah, absolutely. And especially at a time, if you look at Argentina there, hopefully that will have a knock-on effect in Argentina, who we know from an economy point of view, they're struggling at the moment and stuff like that. And their supporters have spent a proper wedge following them on that journey. So, yeah, absolutely. We hope that the country gets a bump off winning the World Cup, of course. Yeah, that's really it. That's what I wanted to bring up. Of course, we started kind of with Messi and all the plaudits, and we end with Messi and all the plaudits and stuff like that. I suppose what we should say as well is, I suppose the story is set for him completing football and becoming the GOAT and all that kind of thing. But there was so many great players in that Argentinian side. So many great players. Rodrigo de Paul.
I don't necessarily think they were a better team than France. If that's, I think, as you said with the intro, this was written in the stars. This was destiny at its finest, and this was a guy that, and I mentioned this last night to somebody who had he said the guy in question, he wrote a message under something I put up on social media, and he said, I kind of thought he was on the way down. And I says, well, it looks like he just had enough in the tank to get himself and his comrades and his country over the line, one last time, because he really did roll back the years. It was amazing to see, one man's journey. I believe we're going to see it captured, because what I'm told is there's film crews have been following him around Qatar for this movie or this documentary that's being made and stuff like that. So there's going to be a lot of inside stuff that we'll see. Awesome. Yeah. Yesterday was the first time, and I don't know if you got to see it on RT, but on BBC they actually showed you his team talk before the Copa America final. Did you see that?
Yeah, unbelievable.
Wow.
Yeah. That stands the hairs up on your arms. How could you go out and not play football at a very high level with that behind you?
And how could you not, how could you not go out and run through a brick wall for a guy like that?
Yeah.
For a guy who's because he's putting himself out there. He is putting himself out there. And with a lot of people, the fear of failure stops them from putting themselves out there. But he put himself out there and he said, you know what, this has happened for a reason. You know, he said, we're here in the American half for a reason. He said, we're here, we're going to do it in Brazil. You know, when he and you just thought, wow, this guy is good. You know, not only is he good, but you know he walks the walk week to week. But he was able to talk the talk for them lads and make them believe, like as we said, they were a couple of inches taller, a couple of steps quicker. You know, that goal was a little bit bigger than it looked the last time, and it was real leadership, wasn't it?
Yeah,
You know, it was real leadership. You know, the likes of
the dynamic wasn't the dynamic brilliant when they were going into extra time. You had the Argentinian side in a huddle with Messi and the manager and all giving it all that. And then it went to Mbappe and he was lying on the ground on his own, getting massaged up and getting the lactic acid out of his legs and stuff like that. Yeah. And I was thinking the dynamic of the two, you know, you've got these guys who will literally slit your throat to win this match, and on this side you've got a guy getting rubbed up like to get ready for the extra time. And I just thought it was an interesting dynamic the way they pitched it, you know.
Yeah, it was brilliant, and a lot of the coverage was very, very good as well. You know, a lot of the stuff, again, if you watch BBC, it was probably better than if you're watching RTE. And there was a lot of good stuff. You know, I love the fact that the BBC don't have any ads. So they fill their ads with small pieces of content, you know, a little interview with somebody that you haven't heard of before, or they go to this person or that person, and it's a really nice way for them to do things, you know. I've always liked watching football on the Beeb, if I'm honest. But it was brilliant. It really, really was.
Turning back in, never know. We might be able to see Ireland win a World Cup. Oh, imagine! Can you imagine?
Did you not see what he wrote there?
What?
In 2023, he's talking about the rugby.
Oh, okay, very good. I didn't even tweet to 2023. Yeah. I know people claim refs were only looking out for Argentina. The ref in the final wasn't looking out for them anyway.
No. I mean, he's given two penalties. You know, if obviously I and I don't know, we didn't speak about it that much. I didn't think it was a Stonewall penalty on Di Maria at all. I thought there was very little contact. I thought he takes his foot back and he lands his own foot onto Dembele, and all of a sudden he's gone down like he's been shot from the crowd, sniped. But likewise, I thought the penalty that France got for the handball was you know, it was borderline as well. It's back to that. It's back to that Kimpembe versus United in the Champions League a few years ago. Remember, Dalot took the shot that was blazing off the crossbar and it hit Kimpembe. And we beat them 3-1 and knocked them out on the night. And it was another one of those, you know. And I just thought to myself, wow, is he giving that? As soon as he blew, I went, oh my God, he's giving a penalty. And everyone else was like, no, it's a freeze. I said, he's at that point into the spot. This is a penalty. And then, of course, a minute or later, the boys cop on. They're like, oh my God, this is a penalty. I was like, it's unbelievable. But I thought the ref, I got to say, and I know, again, the commentators mentioned it quite a few times, former footballer, former player, played at a very high level. You could tell. Did you see when Marcus Thuram tried to win the penalty in the second half?
I was having none of it.
Up you get, bam, there's your yellow card. And Thuram went the little smile and went, all right, you got me. You know, I loved it. Was brilliant.
A couple of things that I kind of liked in it. I liked the way that they weren't as quick to bang out cards. I know in one of the games we watched, your man nearly carded nearly all the players. That lunatic, he was just dishing out the cards. Remember?
Was that not Holland and Argentina? Was there not 17 of them or something?
I think it was, or something like that, but it was something ridiculous. I mean, he was looking for fans to card and everything on the way off and everything and all. But the one thing I did like about it, I fell in love with that injury time, that extended injury time that they every single minute. I loved it.
Well, I mean, like, and this is what we spoke about, obviously, in the WhatsApp group yesterday. At one stage, you know, the 55 minutes gone and Argentina stand at the corner flag, and you're going, "Whoa, hold on a minute here now. This is taking it to a new level. This is the Atletico Madrid shithousery." You know what I mean? And then obviously,
and Simeone up in the box, golden them on.
Right, and the you know, the extra time then comes and bites them in the arse basically. And they end up in, you know, and you just think, I was like, but now the extra time was great. It'll be interesting to see if it's something that's brought in.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. If it comes into the professional leagues, it'd be something excellent, wouldn't it? Like I really enjoyed it, because what it means is it stops people with that time wasting and stuff like that, because they know they're going to get caught out.
Well,
and it's so simple to track.
You were getting 100 minutes nearly every game. You know, those extra 5 or 6 minutes when somebody's been rolling around over the corner flag or when the ball wasn't in play, they're vital to a team. You've seen it before. Teams come to your stadium and they're rolling around, they're looking for frays. That kind of shit, however, you can really annoy people. Whereas if they know they're going to get 5 or 6 minutes of added time on top, they might think twice about it and try and just get on with the game. Be brilliant.
Yeah, Acers in the comments. The MetLife Stadium will host World Cup Final 26. I don't know.
Yeah, it will. Yeah.
Oh, is that the one that's hosting, isn't it? The
Yeah,
one that
yeah.
we were in. The one we were in for Mania. Interesting.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Interesting choice. Much bigger stadiums there to do that. The only other thing I wanted to touch on, and something we touch on a regular basis, the way people talk about this stat of the distance you've ran in a match and all that, and that gets
do I already know where this is going?
You know where this is going.
Right,
You've got Mbappe on the pitch and you've got Messi on the pitch, and these two guys just stroll around and bang, come alive. And I can't imagine them putting in a huge amount of kilometers at all. And I was just thinking, I don't really want to hear about that stat anymore, where this lad ran 13 kilometers and this lad ran 15 kilometers. And then we've mentioned it before with Haaland, haven't we? Where Haaland doesn't really move at all, and then suddenly bang, comes alive. And
hasn't had a touch until the 68th minute, and then scores a hat trick, and you're going, what happened there? Was I just punked or something? What happened there?
Yeah.
It was funny because actually before the game kicked off yesterday, one of the things BBC highlighted was the amount of time that Messi spends walking around the pitch.
Yeah.
So they had this graph and they were showing you percentages and stuff like this. And I think at the tournament, he's one of the players with the highest percentage of walking during the game. And they asked Rio Ferdinand, they were like, and Rio said, this is all part of his game. And Rio broke it down and he said, every time he stops, he's scanning. And he's scanning the pitch to see where's the space, who can I hit.
Taking it all
in. So when that, recording it into the memory bank, that when the ball comes into me, I can make a much quicker, more deliberate, more concise decision, even before the ball gets there, knowing, the way my surroundings are. Because what happens with a lot of players is they're so attracted to the ball and what the ball is doing, they're very unsure. So they get the ball, and then when they get it, they're thinking, okay, what's my next move? Whereas with somebody like Messi, it was look around, I can see a move here, I can see something here, ball comes in, and that's when, the imagination starts and the wheel starts to turn and he sees that pass and all of a sudden you're going,
he sees what other players don't see, which makes him Lionel Messi, of course.
The goal against, I'm going to say the goal against, was it Holland? Was it one of the first against Holland? The no look pass.
Yeah.
To the right back. And you're going, Jesus, Mary and Joseph, how's he seeing that? Not only how's he seen it, like he's moving towards the left, he plays the ball back to the right. It's no look, but the pace and the touch on the ball is just from another planet. And you're going, my God, like how's he done that?
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Absolutely. Yeah, I just thought it was an interesting one because I know initially in the early stages of the tournament, a lot of the pundits were talking about, well, it's just Messi and he's 36 or whatever he is and stuff like that. And then I was thinking, no, Mbappe does the exact same thing. If you look at Mbappe, he just
and Haaland does
around as well. And Haaland does it as well. So
listen, I'm a United fan. There's a certain CR7 who's done quite a lot of it over the last while. Something I will say is, and obviously we spoke about this guy quite a bit over the last 3.5 weeks. I don't necessarily want to see that stat thing taken out of it completely, because I want to know when a guy like Rodrigo de Paul is doing 10 kilometers more than everyone else on the pitch. That's scary. That bloke's a fucking machine. He is out of this world. Like, my God, what an athlete. The way he got around the pitch there, the ground he covered, the graft he put in. I got to give a big shout out on Rodrigo de Paul, because I don't know if you remember or not. Me and you have been hearing a lot about Rodrigo de Paul for quite some time.
Craig
from our boy Craig, right? When he was leaving Italy Craig sang and sang and sang and called for Liverpool to get involved in the race for Rodrigo de Paul. And, obviously he went to Atletico and stuff like that. And Craig's kept talking about him. And when I was watching him and I was thinking, this guy is fucking outrageous, I just kept thinking, you know what? Craig nailed this down for us. This is 2 years ago that Craig called his name. So a lot of people over the last 3.5 weeks went, wow, Rodrigo de Paul, unbelievable. 2 years ago, our friend Craig, friend of the show, was absolutely crowing from the top of his voice to anyone who would listen about Rodrigo de Paul. So Craig, great show, pal. Fair play to you.
Absolutely. Turning back, bit odd, Michigan Stadium, 100,000, yeah. But they've so many great stadiums there. That new Eagles Stadium,
Plus,
where
don't forget,
and
Michigan's a shithole.
Yeah, but have you ever seen that stadium when there's 100,000 people in there for that college football around like that? It's
but they it's MetLife. Come on, it's MetLife. They don't want to take it to the likes of you couldn't take it to Texas around like that because it's summertime. The lads will have fucking blisters on their bleeding eyelids. Do you know what I mean? It'll be that hot. We're going back to USA '94. Don't forget. This is, remember John Aldridge and the bags of water and stuff like that on the sideline.
Steve Staunton.
Remember that breaking bags of water over their head and stuff? Unbelievable.
Charlton in the white baseball cap.
Tiernan wouldn't remember a whole lot about that. Although if he asks his mother, from what I know, I think she was at USA '94. I think Tiernan's mammy might have been there because they were living in the States at that stage.
Nice. Morris back in the comments. Ronaldo does a good bit of walking and gets no prize, Darren. Ian's in the comments. Get rid of that offside rule. It's a time waster. Imagine no offside. And Acer's back in the comments. It was brilliant yesterday when they were taking the piss out of Rio about Messi in Champions League finals. Yeah, absolutely. It's just, you can't deny the undeniable, as they say. Well, listen. Pleasure as always. Another great show. If you just want to contact the show, of course, the Upper Tier Podcast at gmail.com. Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, we're there to be found. Thanks to everyone in the chat. Smash a like on the video on the way out. So important. Subscribe to the channel. Darren on Thursday will be at Westlife, but you're going to send me your bets. You're not getting off that easy. You're going to send me your bets.
I'll send you my bets.
And you're going to send me your Christmas movie picks as well. And I'll see, can I muster up one resident referee?
Will I give you my Christmas movie pick now?
Well, not one. We were going to just discuss Christmas movies in general.
I think I spoke to you about this. I watch Christmas movies in July. I'm that person. Right. I'm that guy now. People in the comments won't be shocked at this. I am that guy. But probably my favourite Christmas movie of all time is the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I absolutely love it. I love it. So that's right up on my list. If anyone hasn't watched it, the likes of young Tiernan there in the comments, who probably hasn't, National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. You'll get it on your Fire Stick, young Tiernan. Well worth a watch. Excellent.
You'll get it on your Sky Glass TV.
Yes.
Yeah. Speaking of National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, I went out with Ben. I went out to get the Christmas tree. And I said, Ben, I'm going to have a bit of crack and I'm going to reenact this. So I got the fattest, chunkiest Christmas tree. No, I got the fattest one. And you know the way they put it in the net through the machine and all.
Oh, and you cut the thing and
I brought home and cut the thing and it went across, the branches went across the TV and everything and all, and me stuck in the back of it. So crack. And Ben was in the background just laughing. I said, I told you, Ben, we were going to reenact it. Remember when he cuts the rope off the tree?
Yeah, sure.
And the tree just goes up through the roof and down through the windows and everything and all. Oh, it's crack.
Did you, again, people in the comments may or may not know that we would collect small miniature pop figures. Did you see the pop figures?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
When we were in America, they had they're doing this scene off the movie now, in the big plastic cases.
Yeah.
And it was all four of them outside the house, and the house was lit up behind with the rope lights. It was fucking amazing. But it was huge. Yeah. And we were in Walmart, and I just kind of stopped, and I just looked at her and I went, and she was like, you're gonna need a suitcase for that, man. And I was
We'll
like,
never get that home.
how am I getting this thing home? It was just, it
Quality.
was epic. Like, it was unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ace was in the comments. So odd. The next World Cup will be in USA, Canada, and Mexico. Should be interesting. Yeah, be very interesting to see what way it pans out. But kind of cool that it's gone there. Eno's in the comments. Don't forget, check us out on Dynamo's Dozen. Me and Eno will be doing a show probably on Wednesday, I'd imagine, giving you all your latest pro wrestling news, opinion, and gossip. And also check out the Chelsea Roar as well. Ian's a big Chelsea fan.
Hope Eno's
Jack
recovered from the weekend celebrations of the Christmas party.
The Christmas party. Acer's interesting choice of Christmas movie. Absolutely. Join us on Thursday. I'm sure there will be plenty of them. Eno, AJ, Dazzle Styles, something like that. Tiernan, Home Alone. Absolutely. Home Alone's on everyone's list. If Home Alone is not on your Christmas movie list, then you need to check yourself. Absolutely check yourself.
Have you any movies on your Christmas list that aren't Christmassy, but you always watch them at Christmas?
I've always watched since I was a kid, going back when I was a kid, you used to get the RTE Guide Christmas edition. And you used to mark out the movies you wanted to watch.
On Thursday at 8:30, and you'd have to tune into the I remember.
And you'd have to be there because there was no DVR or any other recording
right.
like that. But I did used to have the VHS cassette tapes, and I used to have to sell a tape across them, and I used to record the movies as well. But I always found myself, I always watched Superman. Was always on at Christmas time. I always watched the Star Wars movies because they tend to be always on as well. What else was on around that time and stuff?
Don't tell Niall I've never seen a Star Wars movie.
Well, here's your opportunity. Here's your opportunity.
To be football on some channel and I just can't do it. Feels like cheating.
I know, but when we go to America, you're going to need to be in the know because we're going to be experiencing some of this stuff.
Star Wars.
You're going to have to get into it. The underlying storyline of Star Wars is very appealing if you get to understand it. But you should watch it. Take time out and watch a few of them over the Christmas. You won't regret it.
I might try.
Absolutely. Nah, I'm dead. I'd say so. Sounded like you had a good night. Hell in a Cell at Royal Rumble, Edge versus the Demon.
The proposed card looks absolutely lit. Like,
where's that Rumble again? San Antonio, was
it? I don't know.
Not too sure.
But they're talking about Reigns versus KO. They're talking about Lashley versus Lesnar, Demon Balor versus Edge, LA Knight versus Wyatt, and Ronda Rousey versus Raquel Gonzalez, plus the 2 Royal Rumble matches. That's a card. That is stacked.
There's a great show for me in there. Batman 1989. Speaking of Jack Nicholson, I was going by the other day by the room downstairs, and what was on? A Few Good Men. And I said to Ben, it was coming to the end of the courtroom saying, and I said, Ben, I want you to sit down and watch this. This is some of the best acting you'll ever see. You know the one where he loses it with Tom Cruise?
Yeah.
You can't handle the truth. Jack Nicholson, what an actor. What an actor. Eno in the comments, Tim Allen, Santa Claus 1, 2, and 3.
Great show.
Tiernan, I used to think Star Wars wasn't worth the watch. You tip. I started watching them, and it's probably the best decision I've made recently. Good man, Tiernan. Like to hear it. I was at the Brock versus Walter at WrestleMania. Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah. We shall see. Anyway, thanks, folks, for joining us this evening. It's been a great show. We will be back Thursday. Check out the Shankly Sessions coming at you this week with a preview for the Carabao Cup. We are back in full swing. Some of us are still part-timers, but we are back in full swing with the content anyway. Hit the like on the way out. Join us Thursday. Christmas movies, Beat the Bookie Festive Edition, Premier League preview, and everything in between that we can butcher in there. Till next time, a pleasure, my friends.
Hi, brother.